So, a few weeks ago, I hit what I'd consider burnout for the first time. I was training jiu-jitsu, I was going to the gym, I was running a local gardening and landscaping business as well as a digital service agency. Um, you know, amongst trying to fit in my hobbies and socialize and keep healthy and get some sleep and all the rest of it, it was just too much. And so you might relate to this, which is where you feel really busy, you feel really productive, you feel like you're doing loads, but ultimately you're not making much tangible progress anywhere. Now, of course, this kind of burnout sort of comes from doing too much. Our energy's spread too thin, our focus is everywhere. It's a huge amount of cognitive load. It's very draining. It can be stressful. The solution I realised was blindingly obvious, and it was that I finally had to just commit to fewer things and give them more of my focus and my attention. Just before we jump in, if you want this PDF of notes, you can grab it in the description. It's actually a Notion template, which means you can copy and paste it into your Notion system. You can write on it yourself, you can edit it, you can update it, use it however you want to. It's free, there's no email wall, just grab it. As I said, I was doing 5 things with 50-60% effort each, and so I wasn't really making any tangible progress. I didn't want to prioritize things. I was scared of cutting things out, and I'll go into very shortly why I think that was. But I think when we try to do it all, this is what happens. Our time, energy, and attention get diluted. We're busy, but we're making no tangible progress. And we're constantly switching context, identity, goals. This is really tiring when we've got conflicting identities. We're trying to be an athlete and a student and someone who goes out all the time and someone who socializes. There's nothing wrong with having, slightly different components to your personality. But when you've got 5 or 6 different identities going on, it's pretty tiring and there's a lot of mental switching. We end up spread thin, which is tiring, leads to burnout. These are all things that happen to me. So again, I'm not, judging or telling anyone how to live. This is just exactly what I experienced a few weeks ago. And I had to accept this hard truth, which is that we can make some progress in everything, or we can make real progress in something. Okay, so these are the key words here. We can make some progress, or we can make real progress. Now, I just want to go into why we resist prioritization, because this is one of those things where the solution's bleedingly obvious, and there had to be a reason why I was resisting that solution for so long. And so I'm just hoping that by sharing them, this might resonate with someone else. But I think for me, it came down to cutting things out, felt like I was cutting out parts of myself or depriving myself of opportunity. And there's an ego element to this, which is we want to be the kind of person who can do it all. And if that's the person that you want to be, because you want to reject the notion that, can only do one thing, I have limited time and energy, and you kind of want to push the boundaries, right? And therefore, when you then go to prioritize things, you feel like you failed in that mission. Maybe you resonate with that. That was kind of a part of it for me. And then there's the FOMO element, which is, I think, a fear of missing out on the other potential path. If you commit to one path, 3, 6, maybe 12 months later, you'll look back and it's going to be so easy to go, what if? What if I'd taken the other path? And I think the reason for that is because we experience the path that we did choose in its entirety, which means we experience its drawbacks, we experience its hard moments, we experience its downs as well as its ups. Whereas for our imagined path, with the other option that we know we could have taken, we only really see the highlights of it on social media. We still only have very surface level information about that potential path because we haven't experienced it firsthand. And so naturally, it's going to seem like it might have been the better one to take in retrospect. This is often not the case, but I think it's definitely a fear that's there. Final thing is just subconscious wiring, social media. We're often tying self-worth to busyness as opposed to alignment, which I've been so guilty of literally for like the last couple of years. I'm only just coming to terms with this, so I'm just brainstorming out loud. But I want to make it clear, I'm only really just digging into this. I'm still a bit guilty of, and I still do like to be quite busy and working on things. But I think it's about how fragmented that attention is. And for me, the reasons that resonate the most was this kind of FOMO, this fear of committing to one thing because it feels like rejecting other parts or other opportunities. Now, I want to go into the reframe that helped me. This was the shift, right? I'm going to go into it right now. So, we're not sacrificing something forever. If you choose a priority now, you don't have to cut the other thing out forever. And that's what this whole system that I'm about to show you is built around. And therefore, prioritization is not restriction, okay? It's not restriction. It's choosing what we're going to go deep on for this season. We're not closing doors. We're giving something our full attention now in order to see where it takes us. And so what this means is, see prioritization as an experiment. For me, it was like, well, for now, I'm going to go all in on my personal brand, and I'm just going to see where that takes me. For 90 to 100 days, for now, that's my one priority, as well as my health and my fitness, And so all the other things for now don't matter as much. That doesn't mean I can't do them ever again. It doesn't mean I can never go back to one of my businesses. It doesn't mean I can never go back to that hobby that I dropped. Of course I can, but it's just that right now, it's not a main priority within the season that I'm in. And so the beauty of the tiering prioritization system that I'm about to show you is that, as I said, these priorities can shift in seasons and they can move between levels depending on what feels aligned and important right now. So I'm going to take you through the 3-tier prioritization system, and then from there I'm going to give you some questions and prompts you can think to actually start laying this out for yourself. This was the exact process I went through about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I went through this, and so far it's really helped. So the first step that I took is to list down everything that I would want to spend my time on if I had unlimited time and energy. And this might have looked like my personal brand, my businesses times 2. Let's put jiu-jitsu, gym. I want to get into like tennis. What else was there? Do you like my handwriting? It's bloody awesome, isn't it? Psychology studies, etc. This list kind of goes on, right? But just to clarify one thing, these are all things that you're working on. These are all things that you want to spend energy on. I'm not talking about socializing and family time and things like that. They kind of fall outside of this. When you're thinking about all the things you want to spend time on and prioritize, just think about things which are work related or health related or fitness related, things that are slightly more goal orientated. All right, things like relationships and your mental well-being should kind of be treated externally, I think, or at least that's how I took it. If you want to include them, you can. This is all a discussion, so let me know in the comments what you think makes more sense. But yeah, so I've just gone with work-related things. I don't know why I'm showing you the bloody iPad like you can't see it. Step 2, once you've created this list, is to identify 1 to 3 core pillars. The way I think of this for myself is, which of these things feel most aligned with the path that I currently want to go down? The path that currently feels most aligned with me, the path that currently excites me the most. This is the really important and freeing mindset shift. That doesn't mean it has to be my path forever. In 2 or 3 years I might change my mind, but I can only go off what I feel right now, what feels aligned now, and I don't want to be trapped by over planning. So because of that, I just picked 1 to 3 core pillars that align with it the most. Currently it's performance psychology, it's becoming a practitioner, it's spending a lot of time in sport with performers, with athletes, etc. And so my personal brand, my uni studies, and my jiu-jitsu felt like they made a lot of sense. Okay, hopefully for you there's going to be something that stands out there where you can identify the path that you feel most drawn to at the moment. You don't have to commit to it forever, but right now that's the only thing you can go off when you choose your 1 to 3 pillars. So that's tier 1. Now, how are these treated? Well, they are main projects and areas of focus, and therefore, this is really important, they get routine and they get scheduled, right? Scheduled attention and routine. This means, like, if you're someone who plans your week or at least plans your days or whatever, you're actually scheduling in when you're going to fit these 3 things in. When do you have that training session? When do you spend time writing for your personal brand? When are you studying? Or when are you spending time building your business? When are you taking sales calls? Whatever it is, you have routines built around them. I think what gets really dangerous and tiring is when we have routines built around 6 or 7 different things, because it's just bloody overwhelming. But that's why tier 2 comes in, which is maintenance. And this is kind of the rest of the stuff that you still want to be doing, such as in my case, it might be a bit of tennis, a bit of rugby, which I didn't actually write here, and things like that. But I'm not scheduling in time. I'm not saying that I have to be doing them on a certain day. It doesn't even matter if I don't do them for 3 weeks, but I'll just do them as and when, if they fit in. If I'm feeling on top of my tier 1 stuff, then I'm completely allowed to just flow, dip in and out of these things, treat them like hobbies, have fun with them, but no pressure, no sort of commitment to get good. That's important. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but we can't be good at everything. Just do them purely for enjoyment when you can. That's maintenance. And tier 3 is things that we're pausing. Okay, my list is longer than what you can see on the screen here. This is just some examples, but your list might be quite long, and there's going to be some things that actually just don't make sense right now. And we're always told, and I think this is true, that we should execute on ideas as soon as possible, but you can't execute on every idea you have, right? So which of them right now can just sit on a bit of a 1-day list, or something to revisit next quarter that you might then be able to start working on, right? So what you should now have is 1 to 3 things that you schedule in. If you have a week where you complete like 80% of those things, brilliant. There's no more pressure than that. Even better if you can complete 90% of them and do a few of your favourite maintenance activities, a few hobbies on the side, etc. And then the pause stuff, just don't worry about it. All right, give it 90 days, give it a few months, and then we can review this system. And this is the really cool bit. My plan is to every quarter to review my tier priority system, and if I want to move things around I can, but the principle remains the same, which is this stuff gets structured and it's never going to be more than 3. So if I move something up to tier 1 from tier 2, I've got to move something from tier 1 down. I hope that makes sense. It's all cyclical, you're not committing to anything, but the key is to treat it right now like it's your most aligned path and be okay with that, even if in a year or 3 months you change your mind. That was a really, really difficult thing for me to come to terms with, but it helped. It definitely helped. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit more energetic now. Ironically, I'm actually not very well at the moment, but I've been better. My work's felt more effortless and definitely more full of flow, which is great. So look, there's a few closing ideas for you, but ultimately it all comes down to being present instead of over planning. And I could do a whole nother video on this, and I probably will, because it's been another thing that I've really struggled with. Problem is, I'm kind of still really working through it, so I don't want to put anything out there on it yet. I'm going to wait until I feel like I've come to terms with the problem a bit better, but it's definitely something I'm working through. It is definitely the underlying mechanism of all of this though, which is like, in order for you to prioritize, you have to not feel like you're committing to a lifelong plan. Instead, you're just committing to what feels aligned in the moment. So the action steps, as I said, list everything you're currently doing, sort into tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3. Choose your 1 to 3 tier 1s. These become your compass, and then pause or archive the rest. Okay. Just before we end the video, I'm going to give you a few questions that I kind of asked myself, which you can use if you're struggling to identify your tier 1s. What season of life am I in is a good one. A nice way to reframe this is, what is life currently asking of you? What does life currently want you to commit to? And then which 1 to 3 things feel most aligned with that season with me right now? And what would I regret not going all in on? And again, when I say all in, I see it as an experiment, but what would you regret not experimenting? And in order for you to experiment it fairly, you've got to give it your full attention. So I hope this makes sense. I'm not telling you pick one thing and that's the thing you're doing for the rest of your life. Everything else doesn't matter. Because I know when people used to tell me that, it felt really unrealistic and a bit of a struggle to come to terms with. So this is the system I've kind of come up with as an element of compromise. Just before we end the video, at the end of each episode, I'm going to share one of my favourite pieces of content from the week, just in the interest of spreading things that I find interesting and seeing what you guys think, but also supporting other creators on the platform. And this was an awesome video by Michael McKelvey about how elite athletes see a different world. If you love sport and you really love kind of the intricacies that set athletes apart, watch this, it's amazing. It's about something called the quiet eye, which is kind of how athletes use their vision to perform under pressure and to execute things with precision. It's great, and the way he puts his content together, it's so bloody engaging. If you sat to the end of this video, that video will definitely grip you, because this is very boring compared to his. I appreciate you being here. I hope this has been useful more than anything. I hope it's been practical. I hope you got something out of it. I'm going to be posting content like this every single week. I also post daily YouTube shorts. I'm releasing newsletters weekly, so just stick around, subscribe if you love all things sport, performance, psychology and all the rest of it. Take care.